Okay, for number 15, we are going to take the derivative of sine to the fourth power theta minus cosine to the fourth power theta. And let me rewrite the expression as this. So we are taking the derivative of this first part right here. Let me write this as sine theta parentheses to the fourth power minus the second part, it's cosine theta to the fourth power like this. And if you write it in this way, it's easier to see that we have to use the power rule and the chain rule. So to take the derivative of this, first thing first, looking at this as something to the fourth power, by the power rule, I bring the power to the front and then minus 1. And I will get the 4 in the front, and then have the sine theta, and then put parentheses, to the third power. And then keep in mind, you always have to multiply by the derivative of inside, which is sine x. The derivative of sine x is cosine. And this is because of the chain rule. Okay? Then, for the second part, we are minusing the derivative of cosine to the fourth power. And I will bring the exponent to the front, and then minus 1, like this. So, I will get 4 in the front. And then cosine theta, and 4 minus 1 is once again the third power. And then, as usual, the derivative of the inside, derivative of cosine, which is negative sine. And once again, this is the chain rule. Okay, then let's see what can we do with this. Let me just rewrite our answer so far to be the 4 right here, and I'll write this as sine to the third power theta, and then cosine theta. And for the second part, we have a minus here times a negative here, so that turned out to be plus, and 4 is right here. Cosine theta to the third power is the same as cosine plus 2 right here, theta, and then sine theta, like this. Okay, so at this stage, it seems like our answer is D, but it's not, because answer choice D right here is a minus. We have a plus. Okay, so answer choice D is not the answer. And for answer choice C, it looks very, very similar to what we have, but there's no theta here. Notice that answer choice C here is 4 sine to the third power of cosine theta. This is the composition. But here we have a product of sine to the third power theta times cosine theta. So yeah, don't get mad at me. Choice C and choice D, they look very similar to what we have, and then you may think that it's a typo or anything, but it's not. Okay, it's meant to be like this. Okay, let's see what else can we do with the rest. That will equal to, I will see that for the first part, I noticed that I have the 4. I have the 4 on the second part as well. And for the sine to the third power, I have the sine, right? Sine to the third power theta. But then I also have one of the sine theta here. And lastly, I have one of the cosine to the first power. And then here I have cosine to the third power. So I can factor out the common factors, and it will be 4, and one of the sine theta, and then one of the cosine theta, like this. And let's see what do we have left inside for the first part and the second part. So we multiply. For the first part, originally we have sine to the third power, and now we took out one of the sine, so we have sine squared left. So sine squared theta, the rest are out already. And we add, for the second part, the 4 is out, the sine is out. We took out one of the cosines, so we have cosine second power theta, like this. And notice that sine to the second power plus cosine to the second power theta is the same as just 1, right? By the famous, one of the famous identity that you learn in your pre-calculus or in my class. So this is nothing but just 4 times sine x times cosine x times 1, which is, of course, 4 sine theta cosine theta. And that will be it. And surprisingly enough, if you pay close attention to our answer choices, it's answer choice E is the correct answer. Okay, answer choice E is the definite correct answer because that's exactly what we have.